2. We're going to give everyone a couple seconds to join the stream, so I'm not going to get quite started just yet. But we want to thank anyone who's just joining us. Any new folks, welcome. Anybody that's returning, we love having you. We appreciate everyone donating, but also tuning in and sticking with us. So we're loving making these tales at 2. They're a lot of fun. It's stuff that we don't normally get to do, and we're hoping we're sharing some knowledge, but also some fun things with you guys. So as many of you guys, our wildlife housing area and our hiking trails are still open as long as you guys are practicing social distancing. And our wildlife hospital is still in operation, accepting animals that need our care. Today we're going to be continuing our survival week. If you joined in yesterday, I made some tea out of natural things. So if you didn't catch that, you can go back and watch it on our YouTube channel, but also here on Facebook. So we did tea berry tea and we did pine needle tea, which is just a fun thing to do. But today we want to talk a little bit more about surviving in the wild. So we're going to be talking about shelter me from the storm. So how to get out of the weather, how to protect yourself if you do find yourself out in nature and aren't able to get back to where you're coming from. So before I start, does anyone have any questions for us? Nada? Alright. So I'm going to keep going. If you guys have questions along the way, feel free to ask. So my name is Miss Erin. We also have with us Miss Rachel today. We're going to be working together. So before we get started on shelters, we're going to be showing you all how to build a shelter out of sticks. Just want to talk a little bit about surviving out in the wild. So obviously no one wants to get lost, but you probably see on the news and on TV that people do get lost sometimes. Maybe their car has crashed randomly in the woods or something like that, or they've wandered off a trail and they can't find their way home. So we always ask people, what is the thing that you need to do first if you find yourself lost? So a lot of people always say, I'm going to try to find my way back, right? Is finding your way back the best idea, right? You already know you're lost. You're probably not going to be able to see where you came from very easily, especially if you're wandering in a forest like the Pinelands. It all kind of looks the same, right? So we always tell people the best thing to do is to stay in one place. As long as someone knows roughly where you are, hopefully they're going to send someone to come and look for you, right? Another thing that people always tell us is that I'm going to use my cell phone. I'm going to call somebody, right? But if you're in the middle of the woods, can you tell them where you are? Not so well. But the other thing is your phone's probably not going to work. So here at Cedar Run, we're out in the middle of the woods behind our wildlife hospital right now, and we're still on Wi-Fi. That's the only reason that we're getting this connection. If we weren't on the Wi-Fi, you probably wouldn't be able to see me today. So phone isn't always your best option. If you're close to humans, right, or you're close to a neighborhood, that's going to be a good option. But if you're further out in the forest, that's not going to work so well. So the first thing you should do is just stay in one place. Anyone looking for you is going to have an easier time finding you, right? And then if you're moving and they're moving, you're never really going to run into one another. So after that, you know, a human needs food, shelter, water to survive, right? So should we get shelter first, water first, or food first? Does anyone have an idea? So we always tell people shelter comes first. So in inclement weather, which is bad weather, or a storm or something like that, you can go about 3 hours without shelter. So today is a pretty nice day. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's not raining, it's not snowing. You could go a little bit longer. But if you were in really hot heat or really cold, or it was snowing or raining or real windy, you have about 3 hours to find yourself some shelter. So if you're really lucky, you might get found by then, right? But if not, you gotta make your own shelter to survive. So that's what we're gonna talk about in just a couple minutes. After that comes water. You can go about 3 days without water, right? And that's going to be a little different too. If you're out in real hot sun and you didn't get your shelter, you might not be able to go as long. You might get dehydrated. So about 3 days for water. And Miss Rachel's going to show you guys how to make a water filter tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. Right? And food is the last thing. And I kind of brought this up yesterday, if anyone was watching yesterday. You can actually go about 3 weeks without eating anything. So this is called the rule of threes. You can go about 3 hours without shelter, about 3 days without water, and about 3 weeks without anything to eat. So hopefully no one is going to be lost for 3 days. And I really, really hope you guys are not lost for 3 weeks. So we always like to show you shelter first because that's going to be your major need, the thing you need before anything else. So we're going to be building a shelter with some sticks we found out here in the forest. Right? If you were lost in the woods, you can use whatever's around you. When we build shelters with people, we tell them only to use things that have fallen down. We don't want to be pulling branches off of live trees and hurting them, right? But if you really were trying to survive, anything's up for grabs that you would need to use. But we only, if you guys decide to do this out in your backyard or out at the park, don't pick anything. You don't want to hurt anything.
Also, don't leave it up afterwards. Generally, a lot of these sticks and a lot of these branches that we're going to be using are homes for animals as it is. So if we're just making a shelter for fun, we don't want to have to leave it up and take it home. So we want to make sure we put everything back away in it.
So the first thing you guys want to do if you're trying to build a shelter, especially if you're trying to survive and not just doing it for fun, you want to find a good location. You want to find a spot that's not under a dead tree, right? That dead tree may fall down in the wind. You want to find a spot that's already a little bit shaded. That's going to give you some protection to start off with. So as you guys can see, we're getting a little sunlight on ourselves, but not too much. It's not out in the direct sunlight. And a good thing to use is not a tree like this one so much, because it's hard to lean sticks up against this. They slide down. You want to find a tree that already has a little bit of bracing on it to start your center of your shelter. So we're going to be using this tree, which you guys can see sort of has a Y shape. That's going to hold up our first stick and make the center of our shelter sort of like the center of our body is nice and big and strong, right? So this is going to hold up the rest of our shelter by having this nice Y shape to help everybody maintain it. Which stick are we using?
We got this one. We got the big long pole to start with. So the type of shelter we're going to be making is something called a lean-to, which is a very, very easy single-person type of shelter to make. We're going to make it a little bit bigger since our starting bit is a little bit higher. Okay? So what you want to do is make sure that it's in there pretty securely because this is what's going to hold everything else up. Okay? So the idea of a lean-to is you have one long branch leaning up against your Y, right? Or your starting pole there, okay? Leaning up against your upright. And then everything else leans up along this center pole. So this center pole has to be strong enough to support everything else.
And you want to make sure that when you're starting, you're going to be able to fit your body in there, right?
Yeah.
So Rachel and I are pretty small. We would be able to fit in this little bit of space. But if you're someone who's very, very tall, right, you're going to need a little bit more room. If you're a kid, you need less room, right? So everyone always wants to build a giant mansion kind of shelter. But when you're trying to survive, smaller is better. It's easier to build, it's quicker to build. And if it's cold or rainy out, you're going to be able to hold onto your body heat a little bit better inside. So instead of thinking like a giant tent, think more like a sleeping bag, right? Nice and snug, and it's going to keep you a little bit warmer and drier and safer.
And you can even totally, we have this one as a very, very high starting point. You can definitely start it down here, you know, and have just enough room to be able to crawl underneath. That would actually be better than something as high up as this, okay? Because then you're not worried about rain falling down and dribbling down there. You can have a lot more surface area to cover. You're just kind of covering just a little bit. It's just a little hummock out of the ground, okay? So we're going to start piling up other branches up here.
And these are all going to be leaning off to the side. So you're kind of going to start by how big your sticks are. If they're taller, you're going to put them toward the top. If you've got some smaller ones you're finding, you're going to put toward the bottom. And eventually you're going to fill them all in on both sides and make a complete wall. Right? Does anyone, while we're working on filling stuff in, does anyone have any questions? We'll probably just do one side.
Yeah, I think so.
It does take a little while. But like I said, if you were trying to survive, you've got about 3 hours. Hopefully the weather is good and you're not going to worry too much about it.
Now, all the branches so far that we've picked up, except for the one that Miss Erin has right now, they're all pretty smooth. But the one that Miss Erin and I have right now, these ones have got some extra stuff poking out. And that's actually really, really helpful because it's not just sticks that we're going to be putting on top. The sticks are just the framework. Okay? So we are going to be using other things and piling a whole bunch of other things on top of this in order to make it more windproof and more waterproof. Now, in this case, it's not going to be entirely waterproof. It's not going to be entirely windproof. But the more stuff you pile onto it, the better it'll turn out.
Make sure you put your sticks together in the background.
It was in poor placement anyway.
There's no real way to do this other than to experiment. If you find that you put a stick in one spot and it's not really working in that spot, move it to a different location. Move things around to make it work. walking in the woods, you probably are going to have some stuff on you, right? So what are some things that you might be carrying that could help you with your shelter? Anyone have any ideas?
You can even look at us right now and see if we have anything that might help out.
We don't have our backpacks today, but
No, not today.
so if we had a backpack, we may have, I don't even know, hair ties in there. We could use hair ties to pull things together. We could have a bandana in there as roping.
You can
Rachel has her sneakers on today. She could use her sneaker shoelaces.
shoelaces. I don't know if I have anything in my pockets. I have tissues. I don't think they're going to help too much.
I only have
They'll help her runny nose.
So you guys may have some stuff on you. You guys would be wearing a belt. A belt could help you with something like that.
Not today.
If you had an extra coat in your backpack, like a raincoat or a poncho, that could help too.
So I will say, if you have an extra coat, it might be better to put it on you,
Depending on the weather.
depending on the weather, than on your tent. If it's warm out and you're just using it as shade, definitely put it on your tent. If it's raining, it might be better on top of you than, on top of the tent. Right?
Oh, greenery.
I was gonna say, I think we're missing some stuff here, but
So right now we've kind of got just our bones of our shelter. That's going to be the structure. But we also grabbed some green stuff. So this stuff is going to be a little bit better insulation. It's going to block a lot more rainwater and a lot more wind. So you can put this over top as an extra layer. So first, if you were building this to be sheltered completely, you're going to need a lot more sticks than what we're showing you today. It does take a little while to get all that together. So we're just kind of doing a quick and dirty work.
yeah, the general rule is when you're doing something like this, whatever you think you're going to need,
Do more.
multiply it by 3. So if you think you're going to need just this, triple it. Do 3 times as many sticks and do 3 times as many branches on top of it, because that'll help ensure that you can protect yourself from the rain, from the wind, from the sun, from whatever you need.
Because how it stands right now, you're still going to get rain hitting you, you're still going to have the wind hitting you. The more insulation you can have, and hopefully not even see the inside, means that nothing's going to get in. So what we like to do is we'll put green over top. Green is a good one. You can also, once you've got a pretty good layer going, you can gather stuff from the ground too. So right below us, we've got tons of leaves, tons of pine needles. That makes an excellent filler and an excellent root. Yep. So once you've got a lot of space filled in, you can gather some of these smaller things in bunches, and they're going to help insulate you, but also protect a little more from the rain.
Now the other thing you're going to want all of this stuff too is ground insulation. And that's one of the big points that a lot of people miss, is that it's not just protection from stuff above you, you also have to protect yourself from stuff below you. And I'm not talking about things like bugs or worms or slugs or anything like that. What I'm talking about is how cold the ground can get, especially at night. So when we're doing this stuff, we're often thinking that we're just going to be, hanging out. We want to clear a nice area for us to sleep in and sleep on the bare dirt. That is a horrible idea, guys. Don't do it. That ground is kept at a constant temperature, and that constant temperature is colder than you, okay? So what happens is you're laying on the ground, and the ground is actually absorbing all of the heat that you put in. You guys have ever sat on a cold ground, sat on maybe a stone or even a piece of wood? Your butt is going to get cold before the stone gets warm, right? It's the same thing with the ground. So what you want to do is use all of this stuff and fluff, and pile it inside your tent as well, inside your shelter, because that's going to protect you from the cold ground overnight, okay? So, and again, hopefully you're going to get rescued before all this happens, before all this becomes necessary, but just in case, okay?
So another thing, once you guys get this looser layer on top and you've got a nice covering of pine needles, you could even go deeper than this. You're going to want something to weigh it down, because if it's a windy day, all those pine needles are going to blow away. So you need another layer of sticks on the top to hold that insulation layer in. All right, so we've got our main support of our shelter, right? Then we've got some smaller, longer sticks. Then we put on our greenery to make less spaces in between. Then we put on our insulation layer of our pine needles. And then we're gonna throw more sticks on top to make an extra layer to hold that looser layer down. I think we did pretty good for 5 minutes.
I know, I think so too, actually. This is pretty good for a short, quick, and dirty one.
So we were talking quick about things on our body that we could use. I happen to have in my pocket a trash bag, which I planted there. But if you guys were hiking out with family and friends, you might be doing a picnic or something like that. You might have something like a trash bag on you. That is another layer you could add to your pile, or this could be another thing to keep you dry from the rain as well. You could poke a hole in the top of it, make it into a little poncho if you don't have a raincoat. But think about things that you have with you and how you can adapt them and how you can use them. Right? So there's lots of stuff that you might be carrying that you're not going to think is really going to help you, but it might come in handy for something like that.
I have talked to survivalists, and they say that one of the best things that you can bring is a big black trash bag because it's waterproof. Okay? You can use it to carry all of that light and fluffy leaves and pine needles and stuff like that, so you can use that to transport everything. And if need be, you can put it over top of the tent, okay, so that'll work. And then if really need be, you can stuff it with a whole bunch of leaves and stuff and then snuggle inside with it. Just sleep in the bag and you have a ready-made sleeping bag, okay? I wouldn't recommend doing that if you don't have to do it, but something to try.
It came down to it.
Yeah, it came down to it.
All right, does anyone have any questions? Is this something you're gonna try at home? If you have a yard that has lots of tree branches at least. So it's a fun activity to do, but like Rachel said, if you do decide you want to try this out at home, of course put all the stuff back when you're done because these are homes for our friends out in the wild. We're going to do the same thing. We gather them up from this little area. We're going to try to spread them back out so they can have their homes back too. So if there aren't any questions, anything else you want to add, Ms. Rachel?
I would just say if you are in a survival situation, be lazy about it. Honestly, like don't be lazy about building your shelter, but if you can find, don't try and drag like huge long logs to build your shelter. You want to try and conserve energy. So something like this, like we have a nice proportionate long size log, but if you can find like a tree that had already fallen down and is pretty secure, start with that. Shoot, why bother trying to make your own? Okay, just something else to consider. That's it. That's all I had.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, everybody. If you're watching this later and you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. We'll answer them as best we can. Survival Week continues tomorrow. We're going to be doing water filters, so learning a little bit about making some clean water when maybe we can't find any. But yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you again later.